Joining us now for Global Business All Days is Rotus Oddiri. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Dr. Abasi. Good morning, Vimbai. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, all our viewers out there. We begin with oil prices dipping just a tad this morning, of course, with tariffs being announced and the amount of fuel that the derivative of crude vehicles take up. I think traders were a bit taken aback by that, this 25%, because that's what's dominating the day from the yesterday. So Brent crude 73.76, West Texas, North American grade 69.61. Asian markets were mixed. Nobody should be surprised that the Nikkei 225 is down. This is an export-oriented index. I mean, how many car manufacturers do you want to name? Is it Honda? Is it Nissan? I mean, Kospi, Hyundai. So those indexes fell on Trump's announcement of 25% tariffs. China up, Hong Kong up, India up, Australia down. Over to the U.S. markets, they of course fell yesterday on that announcement, despite the fact that Trump said he had a meeting with auto manufacturers. By the way, I think we should have President Trump making an announcement as of yesterday.
Taking a lot of things that they've been taking over the years. They've taken so much out of our country, friend and foe, and frankly, friend has been oftentimes much worse than foe. And this is very modest. And what we're going to be doing is a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States. If they're made in the United States, there's absolutely no tariff. We start off with a 2.5% base, which is what we were at, and we go to 25%.
Now think of this theoretically, right? If you are, I think almost 46% of vehicles that were sold in the United States in 2024 were imported. So if you're applying tariffs, estimates are anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 extra to buy a car. You're actually going to put down, depress the demand for vehicles, which in turn depresses the the demand for fuel to fuel those particular vehicles, which is why, again, oil prices are down. Here is Trump responding to a question where they asked him, are these permanent for the rest of your term? He said 100% those tariffs are permanent.
Would you remove these auto tariffs, sir, or is this permanent for the rest of your term in office?
Oh, this is permanent, yeah, 100%, yeah.
Are you calling the auto tariffs?
Of course, Tesla came up, but Tesla, of course, they make most of their vehicles in the U.S. for the U.S. I know they have other factories around the world, but compared to the GMs, Fords, and so on, not quite as impacted. But he was asked if Elon Musk had any influence on the tariffs, whether he asked him not to do so. Don't forget, we did hear that Tesla employees and SpaceX were lobbying the government not to put those tariffs in place. But still, Trump said no, that Elon had no influence on him at all.
Advise you at all on these auto tariffs?
No, because he may have a conflict, so we don't talk. I've never talked to him. Elon's amazing. He's never asked me for a favor in business whatsoever. I'm actually a little surprised by it. I might do it, I might not do it. I do what's right, and he'd want me to do what's right. No, he's a patriot. He has never, these are big deals we're talking about. This is probably nothing like this. And I've never had Elon come and say, would you do me a favor with the mandate or the electric mandate or anything? He's never asked me for anything.
Sir,
all right, I think we'll get to the UK now. Rachel Reeves had, of course, her spring statement. Of course, they did, state the fact that there will be welfare cuts that are going to be made. Although she said they'll be raising capital spending by about £2 billion on average per year. Extra $1 billion to fight tax evasion, $3.2 billion fund for public services. Inflation is supposed to decelerate from 3.2 this year to 2.1 next year to 2% of the Bank of England's target by 2027. They're going to make 8 cuts, 0.3%. GNI is gross national income. They want to raise housing buildings to a 40-year high and then spend £600 million to train about 60,000 construction workers, which is supposed to feed into that increase in housing. And then £1 billion to support people to get back to work and another $2.2 billion for defense. And, gilts kind of came down a bit. So I think the markets the FTSE was up yesterday, kind of liked what she said. We round off with Nigeria. We looked at UBA earnings yesterday. Zenith Bank Bank, my goodness, 1 trillion naira in after-tax profit, almost 4 trillion in gross earnings, total assets pretty much 30 trillion. Your net interest income, the difference between the interest you pay on accounts that earn interest versus what you earn in loans, 1.7 to 134% jump there. Pre-tax profits, 66% jump, 1.3. After tax, 8 trillion. Digging further, financials are the best financial statements to go through because of their bellwether for economic activity. So customer deposits, almost 22 trillion, a 44% increase from fiscal year 2023. I think if we go further down on their, just breaking down their income fees, this is the fees they make. Shame Ayo is not here because she loves talking about account maintenance fees, but electronic fees on electronic products, 80 billion. That was a 54% growth, which shows you
telecoms companies. So they're just collecting these fees.
No. Just let me break it down for you. Yeah. The financials. So the fees are based on different electronic products that they have. So it's a variety of them. It's not just for the telcos. The telcos, there's still that outstanding.
So that they are outstanding?
No, don't. You shouldn't Zenith. Excuse me, Zenith. You shouldn't single out Zenith because it's a collective of the banking.
Has UBA paid their own?
I don't know.
Has GTB paid their own?
No, it's still outstanding. It's still outstanding.
All of them paid their own.
So we had a meeting with one of the telcos, and they said that is still a matter that they're all discussing, right? Okay. But the point here is that it is the growth in terms of more Nigerians switching to bank transfers and the like. And this, I didn't know foreign withdrawals was going to be this high. This is the amount of money they earn on ATM withdrawals made overseas. It actually came second, 78.5 billion. Then account maintenance, 72.9, fees on financial contracts, and then fees on letters of credit. I think we go to loans now, right? And gross loans, just at a print, 10.9 trillion. So again, loan activity increasing. But here's where it gets interesting. We dug through the financials, right? And I want to do this for all the other banks. If you break down the loans by the regions, look at, out of 10.9 trillion, the Southwest accounted for 8.4. And of course, Lagos is going to be. Now, it depends on the businesses that are located there. But look at the South-South. The South-South dropped by 7.64%, 491 billion. Southeast dropped by almost 10%, 190. North-Central did climb 140%. Exactly. But then look at the Northwest and look at the Northeast. So they dropped as well. And then I think, what else do we have there? I think, then the loans by industry. This is also, look at oil and gas accounted for about 40% of the gross loans, 4.1 trillion, followed by manufacturing at 2.6, government at 1.02. But now, do keep in mind, we're doing year on year. So that's 2023, about a quarter of that belongs to the Buhari administration, and the rest, which would be probably treasury bills and government bonds and so on. And then that shouldn't be profit after tax, actually. That should be general commerce, actually. So that's an error there. But essentially, and we're waiting for the banking results from all the other tier 1, tier 2 banks. But the theme here is that you're seeing a rebound in terms of activities and the like. So that's our updates for today.
You also said these numbers were benchmark against former times. But Rotus, please, it's bad habits that they are declaring huge profit and they can't pay the telcos. There's no way, and I'm talking to all the banks today, it's 100% bad habit. I know
you're talking about just for viewers, the USSD.
I'm talking about the USSD fee. It's 100% bad habits. Because the telcos also need to be able to service their equipment, service their sectors. And the banks, with all their huge money they're making, are not ready to build infrastructures. Do you know what the telcos pay in infrastructure? Do you know how much MTN has in exposure to commercial papers? Do you know how much these companies, telcos, have in exposure to loans? So it's just bad habits. Yeah, we celebrate their big, huge profits, but please, they should go and pay their gbese.
And thank you, profits. Shareholders, 4 naira dividends declared, so full year should be 5. So that's also declared by the bank.
Secondly, Rachel Reeves, I get it. She wants growth. She wants to impact the economy. She wants to push a lot of money into the economy, drive up skills. But please, Britain, like I was saying before about the welfare system, you need the welfare system as a base, as a fallback to. Because not everybody will catch on the fire of this new economy you're trying to build. It's not that easy.
Off of that, Rufai, where some analysts are saying from welfare to warfare, which of course just reflects the fact that Yes, they're responding to geopolitical dynamics, but how do you strike that balance between, trying to respond to what's happening in the world and making sure that your people are taken care of? This rhetoric around, she called it a defense industrial superpower that they want to turn the United Kingdom into, going from a party that campaigned to be a green, fair superpower is a very, very, very big pivot. So that's, of course, concerning to the people who voted in Labour, in trusting that Labour would stick to their fundamental ideologies of welfareism, looking after people. Quite a lot of uproar as well, of course, around, we've seen this develop over time, but of course cemented by the spring statements, is the cut in aid as well internationally. So it's kind of tears apart the fundamentals that the Labour Party is known for, and already coming from such a huge, such a long period of instability in United Kingdom politics. Now it's question mark, where do we go from here? Are we going to see the popularization, greater popularization of nationalism, of the Nigel Farages, and these are the guys who sweep in these moments and are able to win people's hearts. These are the conditions that are ripe for people to buy into all of that type of sentiment. So it's just going to be interesting to see how the political dynamics react to Labour's pivot in their fundamentals.
That was a spring statement by Rachel Reeves supposed to address, and which he tried to address. Sticky inflation, low growth, higher borrowing costs, and then 4 billion deficit within the budget range of 2029 to 2030. And that's what she tried to do yesterday. Last week, there had been a cut of 5 billion pounds on, welfare, 2.2 billion on public spending also, and promised that 10,000 jobs will go. And now yesterday, she added to that the fact that defense spending will now be 2.5% of GDP, because we live in an uncertain world.
That's right.
Also because of Trump tariffs that have added to the uncertainty. There was also the projection that there's the likelihood of tax hikes for the foreseeable future in the autumn budget. Now, the OBR also made certain projections. That was the second leg of our presentation. One, that inflation is likely to go to 3.2% this year.
That's right.
And then drop by 2026, and progressively until you reach 2% target by 2027. Now, as for GDP growth was halved from 2% to 1%.
That's right.
But also with the projection that in 2026 it will go to 1.8, 2027 it will go to 1.7, and then 1.6 in 2028. However, the same OBR now came and said, well, what Rachel Reeves has been able to do is to increase the headroom, the fiscal headroom, and that the future looks positive. But the people are not happy.
Right.
The people who will lose their jobs, the people who face the threat of paying more taxes and the people who are not going to get welfare. About 800,000 disabled people will not get. About 50,000 families, including 25,000 children. So those are the key points about the Rachel Reeves statement yesterday. As for President Trump, I think he has upended the global trade,
has been polite.
The global car industry.
Yes.
That's simply what he has done. And that's why in South Korea, you saw Honda, in Asia, Honda, Mazda, Mitsubishi, all of them going down. Even parts will attract tariffs. And on April 2, we're still going to get the reciprocal tariffs. And that's why in India this morning, the U.S. trade delegation is talking to India, which has a trade surplus of $45 billion against the U.S. And U.S. is saying, no, that's too wide. We're going to close the gap. And the EU, is also complaining with the EU, president,
von der Leyen,
von der Leyen, saying that, well, they will protect their own area, but they are open to discussions. So these, I think, are the two, the major issues on these two subjects.
Indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.